I grew up listening to as a kid, and I have sung it quite often as well. So Spice Girls has always been one of my favorite musical bands, and their music has really inspired me in becoming the amateur musician that I am today. But that's not really the point of this video. So if you notice, the video, or the music video rather, mentions the word stop. And yes, whilst it's a word that we use from time to time, it also symbolizes what is known as interruptions. So interruptions are inevitable in our daily life, and especially in a workplace setting whether you're in healthcare or anywhere else, you constantly get interrupted in one way or the other. Whether it's colleagues dropping by your desk or your office wherever you're working, you could be interrupted by emails, phone calls, messages on Teams. So you are constantly bombarded with information so that you don't really get the opportunity to do things in a smooth manner. However, we're going to focus in this particular video about interruptions in two different scenarios in a healthcare setting, and that is why interruptions have to be important at some point. So why are interruptions necessary, and why are interruptions sometimes required from time to time as well? So it is a known fact that interruptions are not always the most desirable thing, and people, when they do tend to interrupt, we've been taught all this from a young age, that when two people are talking, as a child we were taught to not butt in and interrupt. However, in many situations, interruptions are inevitable and oftentimes necessary as well. So even though quite often interruptions are considered to be rude, disrespectful, and offensive, it is sometimes quite important that interruptions have to be done. And in the case of an interaction with a patient, whether that's face-to-face or at telehealth or in a group setting, there are two key reasons why interruptions may be important. Number one is if, say, you're in a situation where the patient is giving you a lot of information and they're just basically word vomiting and they're just giving you the whole life story, and you have to sometimes clarify information. So you want to make sure that you have the right information, that you're getting the right facts before you can give them your suggestions, assist them, or give them feedback, or give them some sort of support or strategies that can help them get to a better place. So stopping them when the time is right, so timing is very, very important, and stopping them at the right time and doing it in a good, respectful way that's not going to be, demeaning of them in some way, is quite vital when you do that in the case of interrupting a patient who's speaking to you. So the key with interrupting effectively is that timing is very, very crucial. So you time it at an extremely good point, and at a good point when the interruption is warranted. Don't just slip it in as and when you think it's appropriate. I've been guilty of this often when I've spoken to patients on the phone, which I do every day anyway. I sometimes tend to talk over them, and I sometimes tend to interrupt them unintentionally and unconsciously, and that's a big no-no. So that is considered very rude and very offensive, and it's not often gone down very well for me, admittedly. Wait a minute! Yeah, Bruno Mars is wrong. Stop, wait a minute, it is not the way to interrupt somebody. Anyway, the next scenario when interruptions do become important is we live in a linguistically and culturally diverse society and world now. And my focus of coaching is mainly with people and healthcare professionals who work in these environments where they are working with clients and patients who are of a different cultural background to them. And their English language may not always be English as the first language. So you might be talking to a patient who is not speaking in an accent that you're familiar with. So they might be going on and on about something, and you're not really understanding the pronunciation of the words or the type of words that they're using. So in that situation also, there is nothing wrong, provided you do it in a timely manner and also do it respectfully, to interrupt and ask for clarification, and also paraphrase to the patient. That again ties involved with active listening. Paraphrase to the patient saying that, I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand what you said. Could you just repeat that, or could you talk slowly, whatever it is. So now the other scenario is, as a healthcare professional, if you are in a professional meeting with your colleagues, or either one-on-one or in group settings, you might actually have a viewpoint, perspective, or idea that no one else has thought of or no one else has considered, and you feel the need to speak up, and if you feel the need to put your point forward. And then again, this is depending on the workplace. This can be also be considered offensive if you don't do it the right way, if you don't time it correctly, if you do it in a disrespectful way. You have to do it in such a way that it is respectful, and you're using the right gestures, the right expressions and all that to put your point forward. Now, when I say that you have to be respectful, I'm not saying that you have to completely tone yourself down and just not speak up. You have to be authentic, you have to express yourself. My coaching really focuses on that. So not just dumbing down just because other people are going to be offended by it. It's also you have to express yourself in an authentic manner that's also respectful. So both those aspects are very important. So when you have to interrupt, you put your foot or your point forward. And in another scenario, similarly, when you have a group environment with your colleagues where you're speaking one-on-one or in a group setting in a meeting, you might have something that doesn't really sit right with you, or you might disagree with them, or you may have a completely different opinion on something. And in that situation as well, if you do it right, if you do it in the correct manner, the interruption could be well and truly be called for and warranted. So these are the two scenarios in which they highlight the importance of why interruptions quite often during our interactions with patients and colleagues is necessary. And the key is you have to do it in such a way that it is well timed, that you don't just do it when someone is like talking for a long certain space of time. At the same time, you're doing it in a way that is appropriate in terms of timing, also using the right facial expressions, gestures, body language, and also what you say. So all those things are very important. We're going to look at the do's and don'ts in each of these scenarios, so with your patients and with your colleagues over the next couple of weeks. So how to interrupt in a way that is respectful, effective, and also not going to upset or offend or disrespect anybody. So just to recap, my name is Shweta. I am the founder of Healthy Dynamics. I am the coach, and we are a coaching practice rather, of that work with people from ESL backgrounds who are healthcare professionals who work closely with patients, and I help them improve not only their English language but also their communication skills in order to build better relationships with their patients and to stand out in the workplace and become excellent at their craft and their vocation and their profession. So hope you found this video useful. Leave me your thoughts and comments in the description box below if you have anything to share, and share your experiences of how interruptions are regarded in your workplace or in your culture, and I would love to hear from you. So thank you very much for your time and attention. Stay tuned for next week's video and have a lovely day.